if you wanted to help people become more open-minded, which again is something that they tend to lose as they get older, how would you help them down that path? Like, what can people do to become more open-minded?
So I think the first thing that people can do is start engaging with things that are different from them. And, that sometimes for some people that sounds scary, and for some people that sounds really exciting. And so if it sounds scary, I would say to start off very small. So maybe try new foods, or, if you watch movies or read books, try a new genre. Or even as a step beyond that, I would say start engaging in ideas that are different than your own. So we live in a society right now that is very polarized. And oftentimes people live in echo chambers, and they surround themselves with people who are very similar minded to them. I don't think that's a new phenomenon, but we see it kind of, I think, pronounced with the social media and so forth. And, people just, kind of surround themselves in these insular communities and insular mindsets is what I'll say. And so proactively stepping outside of that and maybe talking to people who have different political beliefs as yours, or start watching podcasts that are, podcasts like yours, where you're exploring the human condition, or podcasts that might represent a different mindset than your own. Like, let's say you have a certain political background and you watch somebody who's the exact opposite of yours. And I think that really starts the wheels churning. The idea isn't that you're going to engage with these different ideas so that you all of a sudden change your mind. But the idea is just to really understand different thought patterns instead of wanting just the same. So let's stick with maybe a political conversation. Oftentimes when two people come together and they have very different politics, we think of a fight escalating, or, a very heated conversation. But instead of that, maybe lean into curiosity and say, well, that's such a different idea than I have. What would make somebody have that value? What would make somebody have that belief? I'm really curious to know how maybe you're connecting the dots. Like, the way I'm connecting the dots is going from A to B to C, but it feels like you're taking a different path. And I want to learn more about how you arrived at that conclusion. And I feel like we don't see a lot of that in today's day. At least, I feel like we see people who want to engage with others who are very similar minded to them. So I think that can be a great exercise, not just for nurturing your own curiosity, but also I think it can really uphold, relationships between people, and really, help people come together during difficult times.
God, yeah. Yeah. So basically, you're saying start with small novelty, right? Which, like, change the food that you eat, or music, movies. Like, this will get your brain used to seeing things and experiencing
Yes.
things that are just different, right? Once you're in that kind of narrow-minded way of thinking, it can be really difficult to get away with, or get away from, because as human beings we want comfort and we want to be stable, right?
Yes.
So once we get away from that, we feel uncomfortable. So that's another huge problem. And then you mentioned this idea of being in an echo chamber, right? Which is really true. People tend to have like a certain friend group, and even on social media, the algorithms will give you what you want to
Mm-hmm.
see, right? So if you're watching a certain type of video, for example, with politics, as you mentioned, you'll only see those kind of people give their opinion over and over and over again, and you won't see the other side, right? And as you mentioned, if you really want to get to know, I guess, or if you want to become more open-minded, like, you have to start with thinking, why do people think like that,
Yeah.
right? And most people are not as sinister as you think. I mean, of course, there are bad people in the world, but most people, I mean, yes, people are flawed, again, across the board, but people in general are not sinister. Like, there's a reason why they think the way they think. And something that I read a long time ago was, if you truly understand a person, you can't hate them, right? You might not
Yeah.
agree, but you can't hate them, right? Because you can actually understand that thought process, and then you can go from there.
Yeah, I
So,
love that.
yeah, exactly. Now,